In 1978, a fourth grader in Ohio could slide a beige tray down the cafeteria line, trade a lunch ticket for rectangle pizza, grab milk, and have 3 minutes to find a seat. It was not restaurant food, it was bell schedule food. Fast, hot, portioned, and served by women who moved children like traffic. Number 13 will split the comments. Number 6 is the role people still remember. And number 1 is the tray that made school lunch feel like its own world. Hit subscribe, because this channel saves the everyday American food rooms before they disappear twice. These are 25 forgotten school cafeteria foods kids ate before trays changed. Number 25. Rectangle pizza. Rectangle pizza was school lunch royalty. It did not look like pizzeria pizza. It came square or rectangular, usually with soft crust, red sauce, melted cheese, and sometimes little pepperoni cubes that tasted more like school than Italy. The shape mattered because it fit the system. Large pans could be baked, cut fast, and slid into tray compartments. A lunch worker could serve hundreds of slices before the bell ended the period. For kids, rectangle pizza was one of the few lunches that could make the line feel hopeful. It was chewy at the edge, soft in the middle, and somehow better if the cheese stuck to the tray. If your school pizza had those little pepperoni cubes, I already know you remember them. Number 24. Chocolate milk carton. Chocolate milk was not the meal, but it could decide the whole tray. The carton was small, cold, and hard to open if the fold fought back. Kids pinched the top, pulled the corners, spilled a little, and pretended that was part of the process. Milk has long been central to federal school meals, but for many kids, plain milk and chocolate milk lived in different universes. Plain milk was duty. Chocolate milk was victory. It cooled down pizza. It rescued dry peanut butter. It turned a tray into something a child actually wanted to finish. The taste was thin, sweet, and colder than the rest of lunch. If your cafeteria had strawberry milk too, that is a separate memory category. Number 23. Sloppy Joe. The Sloppy Joe was truth in advertising. Ground beef in sweet tomato sauce, spooned onto a bun with no real chance of surviving. The top bun slid, the bottom bun soaked. Every kid learned whether they were a fork person or a brave person. Schools liked Sloppy Joes because the filling could be made in bulk, held hot, and served quickly. Kids liked them because they tasted like dinner had loosened its tie. They were sweet, soft, messy, and easy to smell before you reached the line. Some schools called them barbecue beef. Some called them taverns. Some called them loose meat. Some just called them Sloppy Joes and handed you extra napkins. This is one of those foods where the name tells me where you grew up. Number 22. Tater tots. Tater tots were the perfect cafeteria potato because they acted like little pieces of equipment. They were small, countable, scoopable, and easy to portion. A lunch worker could give one kid 6, another kid 8, and every child in the room would notice the injustice. The outside was crisp if you got lucky. The inside was soft, hot, and almost fluffy. They held ketchup better than they should have. Tater tots worked because they fit the tray and the clock. No peeling at the table, no cutting. No argument except whether your friend got more. They survived into modern cafeterias, but older viewers may remember when tots felt like the best possible side. Salty, golden, worth trading peas for. Number 21. Peanut butter sandwich with vegetable soup. This lunch sounds strange until you remember how cafeterias worked. A peanut butter sandwich, usually on white bread, came beside vegetable soup with tomatoes, corn, green beans, carrots, peas, and little pasta or potato pieces. It was cheap protein beside hot liquid. That was the logic. The peanut butter stuck to the roof of your mouth. The soup washed it down. The bread got soft if you dipped it, and plenty of kids did. Some schools served peanut butter with chili instead. Some served it with soup. Some banned it later because allergy awareness changed the rules completely. If your school paired peanut butter with soup or chili, the comments need your state. Here is the part people forget. School lunch was industrial, but it was also personal. The National School Lunch Act was signed in 1946, and the programme grew into a huge daily feeding system. But a child did not experience that as policy. A child experienced it as a tray. One hot main, one side, one fruit, one milk. One line moving too fast. The food had to be affordable, repeatable, and ready for hundreds of children. That is why so many cafeteria foods were soft, sauced, square, scoopable, or wrapped.
Number 20. Spaghetti with meat sauce. Cafeteria spaghetti was not trying to be Sunday supper. It was pasta, red sauce, ground meat if the school had it, and a smell that could fill the hallway before lunch. The noodles were usually soft. The sauce was usually sweet. The meat hid in little bits. Grated cheese might appear if the cafeteria had packets or a shaker. Schools served spaghetti because it stretched. One big pan could feed a lot of kids. Pasta filled the tray. Sauce made it feel hot and complete. The danger was the shirt. Every kid knew red sauce could mark you for the rest of the day. If your school served spaghetti with a roll, that roll probably did half the work. Number 19. Chili with crackers. School chili was not competition chili. It was a hot scoop in a bowl or tray compartment, usually with beans, ground beef, tomatoes, and enough seasoning to count. The crackers mattered almost as much as the chili. Kids crushed them into the bowl, stirred them in, or ate them while waiting for the chili to cool. The packet made noise. The crumbs went everywhere. For cafeterias, chili was practical because it held heat and stretched ingredients better than almost anything else. Some schools served cinnamon rolls with chili. Some served peanut butter sandwiches. Some served plain crackers and called it done. That pairing is a comment war waiting to happen. Number 18. Salisbury steak with gravy. Salisbury steak was the cafeteria's way of making ground beef look official. It came as a patty with brown gravy, usually beside mashed potatoes or green beans. It was soft enough for a plastic fork and plain enough for most kids. The name made it sound more grown-up than hamburger. That helped. For the cafeteria, it was perfect tray food. Patties could be cooked in quantity, held warm, and covered with gravy. The taste was beefy, salty, and brown in every direction. Some kids loved it. Some poked it once and traded for a roll. If your Salisbury steak came with a gravy puddle big enough to drown potatoes, you know why it is here. Number 17. Turkey and gravy over mashed potatoes. Turkey and gravy over mashed potatoes was Thanksgiving without the holiday, or the good plates. It came as sliced or chopped turkey, gravy, and mashed potatoes that could turn into a little volcano if a kid shaped it right. Schools liked it because it was warm, filling, and easy to serve from pans. Kids liked it when the gravy was good. Kids feared it when the turkey looked tired. The texture did most of the talking. Soft potatoes, soft turkey, soft gravy, maybe a scoop of peas nearby trying to look useful. This was one of those lunches where the roll mattered. Without a roll, the gravy had nowhere to go. Number 16. Fish sticks with tartar sauce. Fish sticks were the squarest kind of seafood. They came in rows, crisp on the outside, soft on the inside, usually with tartar sauce or ketchup depending on the child and the cafeteria. For many schools, fish made sense on Fridays or as a non-beef option. Fish sticks were easier than delicate fish because they were portioned, frozen, breaded, and built for tray service. The smell was unmistakable. The sound was better, a plastic fork cracking through the breading if the stick had stayed crisp. Some kids loved them. Some kids knew before sitting down that the whole cafeteria would smell like fish for the afternoon. If your school served fish sticks with mac and cheese, that was a very specific kind of Friday. The tray shaped everything. A school cafeteria tray was not just a plate. It was a map. Main dish here. Vegetable there. Fruit in the corner. Milk nearby. Dessert if the day was lucky. Food had to fit the map. That is why school pizza was rectangular. Fruit came in scoops, rolls sat in one compartment, and gravy was always trying to cross a border. Children learned the geography quickly. They knew which foods could touch and which ones absolutely could not. The tray taught rules before the lunch lady said a word. Number 15. Lime Jello with fruit. Lime Jello with fruit was the cafeteria's green mystery. It might have pears inside. It might have pineapple. It might have shredded carrots if the adults had gotten too confident. To younger viewers, this can look like a prank. But for cafeterias, gelatin was useful. It was cheap, cold, portioned, and ready before the line moved. It gave the tray color and counted as fruity even when the fruit was trapped in suspension. Kids liked it because it moved. Adults liked it because it stayed where it was put. The taste was sweet, sharp, and faintly artificial in a way that belonged to school lunch. If your cafeteria put vegetables in Jell-O, tell me who allowed that. Number 14. Canned fruit cocktail. Fruit cocktail was the little cup of syrup at the edge of the tray. Peaches, pears, grapes, pineapple, and the one red cherry piece everyone noticed. If you got the cherry, lunch improved. If someone else got it, injustice had occurred. Schools served fruit cocktail because it was easy to store, easy to scoop, and easy to count as fruit. It was cold, slippery, sweet, and usually served with a spoon too small for the job. The syrup sometimes ran into the hot food compartment, and that was when the tray became dangerous. Older viewers may not remember every entree, but many remember hunting for that red cherry. This is the simple question: did your tray ever get more than one? Number 13. Carrot and raisin salad. Carrot and raisin salad is where the comments start taking sides. Shredded carrots, raisins, mayonnaise or creamy dressing, maybe pineapple, sometimes sugar. It was orange, sweet, chewy, and confusing if salad meant lettuce. Schools served it because carrots were cheap, raisins were shelf-stable, and the whole thing could be made ahead in a giant bowl. To some kids, it was the worst compartment on the tray. To others, it was strangely good, especially if pineapple showed up. That is why it belongs here. Not the most famous school food, but exactly the side people remember arguing with. If you defend carrot raisin salad, this is your moment. Number 12. Cottage cheese and peaches. Cottage cheese and peaches was the school lunch version of being sensible. A scoop of cottage cheese, canned peach slices, maybe lettuce underneath if the cafeteria was borrowing from older diet plates. It was cold, pale, soft, and very adult for a room full of children. The cafeteria logic was clear. It offered protein and fruit. It required no cooking. It could be portioned fast and held cold. The child logic was less clear. Some kids liked the peaches and ignored the cottage cheese. Some mixed them together. Some looked at the curds and decided hunger was acceptable. This food did not disappear because nobody remembered it. It disappeared because kids got louder about what they would not eat. Number 11. Mystery meat sandwich. Every school had at least one sandwich nobody could fully identify. Maybe turkey. Maybe ham. Maybe bologna. Maybe a processed meat patty on a bun with lettuce and a square of cheese trying to help. Kids called it mystery meat because childhood is not generous with cafeteria language. The sandwich existed because schools needed cold or warm items that could be prepared ahead, wrapped, stacked, and handed out fast. It was not always bad. Sometimes it was perfectly fine. But once a cafeteria food got a nickname, the nickname became stronger than the food. If your school had a mystery meat sandwich, I want the name kids used for it, because that is the real history. This is where school lunch becomes a comment machine. Every district had its own names. Every town had its own tray rules. One school served chili with cinnamon rolls. Another served chili with peanut butter. One called loose meat a sloppy joe. Another called it a tavern. One had rolls adults still talk about. Another had green beans that could ruin a Tuesday. The official program fed millions of children. The memory happened locally. That is why two people can be the same age and remember completely different cafeterias. Number 10. Corn dog. The corn dog made school lunch feel like a fair had accidentally entered the building. A hot dog on a stick, covered in cornmeal batter, baked or fried until golden, served with mustard, ketchup, or whatever packet you got before the line moved. It worked because it was self-contained. No fork needed. No cutting. No serious negotiation with the tray. For younger kids, the stick made it fun. For lunch workers, the portion was decided. For everyone else, it survived cafeteria service and childhood impatience. The corn dog never needed elegance. It needed a paper tray, a ketchup packet, and one kid waving it around before a teacher told him to stop. Number 9. Chicken patty sandwich. The chicken patty sandwich was the cafeteria's quiet blockbuster. A breaded chicken patty on a bun, maybe lettuce, maybe mayonnaise, maybe nothing else. Simple enough to serve fast and familiar enough that most kids would eat it. The outside was supposed to be crisp. Sometimes it was. The bun was supposed to be soft. It always was. Schools liked chicken patties because they were portioned, predictable, and easy to hold. Kids liked them because they felt closer to fast food than almost anything else on the tray. The chicken patty sandwich survived in many forms, but older viewers may remember the school version, slightly flat, slightly salty, and somehow better when traded for an extra cookie. Number 8. Taco salad in a chip boat. Taco salad day felt different. The tray might get seasoned beef, lettuce, shredded cheese, beans, salsa, and corn chips or a crisp edible bowl if the school had ambition. It was not Mexican food in any deep sense. It was cafeteria Tex-Mex logic: use ingredients kids recognized, keep them separate, and let the chips do the selling. The crunch mattered. After too many soft lunches, taco salad had noise. Chips cracked under the fork. Lettuce tried to escape. Salsa ran into the wrong compartment. Some kids mixed everything. Some kept it separated like a legal contract. If your school served taco salad with Doritos or corn chips, that detail belongs in the comments. Number 7. Macaroni and cheese scoop. Macaroni and cheese was comfort food, but the cafeteria version had its own personality. It came as a scoop or square, depending on the school. Sometimes creamy. Sometimes baked. Sometimes orange enough to look assigned a safety color. Schools served it because pasta and cheese sauce could feed a crowd and sit in a steam pan. For kids, mac and cheese was usually safe territory. Even if the vegetables failed, even if the meat looked suspicious, macaroni and cheese could rescue the tray. The best cafeteria mac had brown edges or a thick top. The worst was watery. And yes, people remember which kind their school had. Number 6. Cafeteria roll with butter. This is the one from the opening. The cafeteria roll was sometimes better than the main dish. Soft, pale, warm if you were lucky, served with full wrapped butter or margarine that never spread right unless the roll was hot. Some schools made rolls in-house. Some served them from bags. But good ones became legend because bread could save almost any tray. Roll with spaghetti. Roll with turkey and gravy. Roll with chili. Roll eaten first because lunch was short and self-control was limited. The smell was the whole thing, warm bread cutting through steam table vegetables and mop water. If your school roll was the best part of lunch, I want to know what meal it came with. Then school lunch changed. Not all at once, and not the same way everywhere. Nutrition standards changed. Budgets changed. Suppliers changed. Allergy rules changed. Students changed. The old tray line had to answer new questions about fat, sodium, sugar, whole grains, waste, and what kids would eat. Some changes were necessary. Some made lunches better. Some made older foods disappear from the line. That is why school cafeteria memory is messy. People remember the food, but they also remember the old rules of being a kid in a loud room with 20 minutes to eat. Number 5. Beefaroni or cafeteria goulash. Beefaroni, goulash, American chop suey, macaroni beef, whatever your school called it, this was one of the great cafeteria casseroles. Elbow macaroni, ground beef, tomato sauce, maybe cheese, maybe onions, all served from a deep pan with a big spoon. It worked because it stretched ingredients and filled trays fast. It also created fierce naming arguments. In one town, it was goulash. In another, goulash meant something else entirely. Some kids only knew the canned name version. Some remembered a school-made pan that tasted better than it looked. The texture was soft, saucy, and forgiving. The smell told the hallway what lunch was before the menu did. If your school had a different name for this, I want that name. Number 4. Mashed potatoes with gravy volcano. Mashed potatoes were the side dish. The gravy volcano was the childhood engineering project. A scoop of potatoes landed on the tray. A kid pressed a hole into the top with a spoon. Gravy filled the crater. If it overflowed, that was either failure or success depending on the child. Schools served mashed potatoes because they paired with everything: turkey, Salisbury steak, meatloaf, chicken, gravy from any pan that needed a destination. But children turned them into play. That is why this belongs near the top. It was not just food. It was one of the few moments where the tray became interactive. Every cafeteria had rules against playing with food. Every cafeteria also created the gravy volcano. Number 3. Ice cream cup with wooden spoon. The ice cream cup felt like winning. A small paper cup, a flat wooden spoon, vanilla, chocolate, strawberry, orange sherbet, or one of those swirl flavors that looked better than most of lunch. The wooden spoon had its own taste. Nobody asked for that taste, but everyone remembers it. Ice cream cups worked because they were portioned, frozen, and easy to hand out on special days. No scooping at the line. No bowls to wash. Just a cup and a spoon that looked like it belonged in a craft drawer. For kids, the best part was peeling back the paper lid. If the ice cream was too hard, you scraped. If it was soft, you were blessed. Tell me the flavor your school had when lunch was actually good. Number 2. Peanut butter bar. The peanut butter bar was school dessert with real power. It came as a square, usually dense, sweet, and chewy, with peanut butter in the base and sometimes chocolate or frosting on top. This was not a delicate cookie. It was a cafeteria brick in the best possible sense. Schools liked bar desserts because they could be baked in sheets, cut into squares, and served fast. Kids liked peanut butter bars because one piece could make the whole tray feel worth it. The texture is what stays in memory. Soft enough to bite. Dense enough to matter. Sweet enough that someone would try to trade half a sandwich for one. Allergy awareness changed peanut rules in many schools later, which makes this dessert feel even more tied to an older cafeteria world. Number 1. Square pizza and milk tray. If one tray can stand for the old school cafeteria, it is square pizza and milk. Not because it was the best pizza in America. It was not. Because it was the lunch that made the whole cafeteria react. The line moved faster on pizza day. Kids checked the menu in the morning. Someone tried to trade vegetables before sitting down. Someone opened a milk carton badly and spilled it. Someone peeled cheese from the tray with a fork because that part tasted better than the slice. Square pizza and milk carried the whole school lunch world. The divided tray. The milk carton. The lunch ticket. The line. The lunch lady who always forgot money. The table where your friends sat. The clock on the wall that made every meal feel rushed. That is why it belongs at number 1. School cafeteria food was never just about taste. It was about being a child in public. You learned what could be traded. You learned who brought lunch from home. You learned which table was safe. You learned how fast you could eat before recess, class, or the next bell. The old foods did not all vanish. Pizza still exists. Milk still exists. Chicken patties, corn dogs, fruit cups, and rolls still exist. But the old tray world changed. And for a lot of people, one cafeteria smell can bring it back faster than a photograph. Warm bread, canned fruit, tomato sauce, chocolate milk, floor cleaner, and 100 kids talking at once. Tell me the school lunch your cafeteria was known for. Was it square pizza? Chili and cinnamon rolls, peanut butter bars, chicken patties, taco salad, or something only your district served? And if one school cafeteria food deserves to come back first, I want the food, the state, and what everyone at your table called it.